Morning, Minister. Morning, Mr. Derriggs. Beverly Sinclair from Channel 6 News. Minister, you mentioned that you got the information of the arrest 2 days ago.
Yes.
What had been happening over the 2 days when you got the information that these people had been arrested, considering that we just had a news conference last week? Was there a plan to bring us this information, this new information, that the people that there had been an arrest? Because that was 2 days ago.
Yes. Well, let me say first. On Tuesday afternoon, at about 3 o'clock, while attending a funeral service in Carriacou, I received a call from Ms. Nicole Best, who brought to my attention that she had heard a report on the BBC that these persons had been arrested. Yes? Now, the first thing we have to do is to conduct a search to find out if that report has any validity. So, before we come to you, we must determine whether the persons who the BBC is reporting were arrested were in fact the people that we saw and the persons that we were engaged with. Okay. This is 48 hours later.
Well, I'm happy for the clarification because I didn't get the impression it was through a media report that you heard they were arrested. I got the impression that you perhaps had received some official word from Taiwan authorities or somewhere else that they had been arrested. Okay. In 2008, the company approached government with some offers, and it's now 2010.
Yes.
Right. The initial contact was in 2008. Was these by the two local representatives?
Yes, and we were very guarded, engaging, because some of the stuff that we were being told, we wanted our own independent verification, put it that way. Yeah. So things did not move. The very first contact was in 2008, but nothing happened in 2008, really.
Okay. The two local gentlemen, do you know of any of them, their background, their past affiliations, what they do now? You know anything about them?
The most I can tell you is that I'm aware that Mr. Antonio Bailey had been associated with a company that operated out of Montgelou called Global Network Providers. That's the most that I know.
Okay, because there's and the other one, Mr. Francis.
I do not know very much about.
Don't know anything
Francis.
about them.
Yes.
Okay, so was there any due diligence on these two gentlemen? The first point of contact with the company.
There was some. Yes.
It didn't turn up anything negative. Shady, questionable.
Not directly so. Not directly so.
Okay. The background checks, due diligence search, who are the people who conducted these searches?
I'm sorry?
Who are the people or companies that did the due diligence on Sewang?
Well, there are several companies and agencies that we have contacted. Some of them we have not had reports yet. And we would prefer not to mention the names of all the companies here because we did not tell them that we would be mentioning their names.
Okay.
And we
do we pay for this service? Is there a cost to it? Do we pay for this service?
No.
Okay.
In fact, one of the reasons why it has moved perhaps a little slower than we would have liked is because we were not in a position to commit the kind of resources that would normally be required to get paid searches of that kind.
Okay. And could be my final question. You did mention the government will not negotiate in public. We can't expect every word of a negotiation to be reported. I don't think that is the expectation. The expectation is for us to be informed that, well, we have open negotiations with XYZ and we're looking at XYZ. And of course, when you get to a point when there's something else to report, then fine. But this whole negotiation process with Sewang One World, I'm sure you could not dispute that very little information was passed about it. Very little information was passed about the MOU signing. The fact that it was signed, I think there was a 2 or 3 paragraph news release which said it has been signed. That was it. And that really wasn't good enough. Because if we have signed an MOU, I think it's only fair that we know it's not a binding document, as you say, but at least we can be told some of what's contained in it and the direction that we're looking to go.
Right. Well, I thought that the release provided that. Surely that was the intent of the release, to say that we've held discussions, they came here, we're looking for investment opportunities, we've spoken to them about several projects, and these are the projects we've spoken about.
We talk about areas. The news release talked about areas.
Yes, I mean, these are the areas that we were discussing.
But there was
yes.
nothing specific in it. It was very vague.
Right. I think that the projects themselves, quite frankly, really crystallized after they returned. In other words, it was when these gentlemen were traveling that we actually crystallized which are the projects that we specifically were looking for partnership on. We did not agree on any projects before they left. As I told you, we had said before, we want to know of all the things that we discussed, of all the places we take you, of all the sites that you saw, tell us which are the ones you think you're willing to do business on. And, you know, they had 90 days to do that. So at the time we prepared the MOU, neither Sewang World nor Grenada were very clear on the specific projects that we were going to do business on.
Okay. Finally,
could I just say something here? Yeah. And I think the idea is that if you have not seen the MOU as yet, that sometime soon a copy will be made available to the media, and you will be able to verify that it's a fairly general document that laid out sectors with the possibility for specific follow-up within the context of further discussions.
But the MOU is dead now anyway.
Well,
the 90 days has
the 90 days expired, yes.
It really has no life right now. The other document which was signed, the aid memoir, what is the status of it now?
Well, it's an aid memoir is just that, something that helps you to remember, right? And the intention there was to simply record the minutes of the meeting.
Does this one have a sunset?
Well, strictly speaking, an aid memoir has no sunset. Yes? It only has a sunrise. It can only say, we met, we talked, these are the minutes of the meeting.
Nicole Best, freelance journalist. Minister Burke, you said that after certain red flags were raised, just to use this common phrase, certain questions you guys put certain questions to Sewang One World, asking for things like their financial statements and stuff like that. Why weren't these asked for before a memorandum of understanding was signed, so that you know in advance whether or not you should go forward with any discussions to start with? Why weren't these asked for before? I mean, isn't this just standard procedure to ask for this first?
No, it is not standard procedure. It is not standard procedure to get these documents prior to saying that we have a mutual intention to explore investment opportunities.
But you also signed a memorandum of agreement in May of this year. Sorry, a memorandum of understanding, not agreement, understanding, in May of this year, and you started your due diligence search. Isn't that also part of the search procedures? I mean, apart from the fact that, like you had said in the last press conference, if your daughter comes with a guy, you're going to ask questions. You're going to ask him questions. You're going to ask him to put forward some proof that he can take care of your daughter.
Yes, but I will only do
while you
so
ask his family and you ask his friends and neighbors.
That is correct, but I may only make that in request when I think there's a likelihood they're going to get married. If she visits for the first time with him, I wouldn't press for that kind of information. In other words, the stage at which you insist on that kind of information is crucial.